Call to order the Common Council meeting for February 17th of 2026 at 5:31 p.m. Roll call, please. I can do it if you want.
That's okay.
Okay.
Mayor Bunham,
I'm here.
Councilmember.
Councilmember Elaine Mosher Campoli. You can get, all right. You're here. Councilmember Cecilia Walsh Rousseau, absent. Councilmember Shannon McHugh.
Here.
Thank you. Councilmember Katie Lepari Shu.
Pending.
Pending. Councilmember Lynn Carson.
Here.
Councilmember Scott Harrington.
Here.
Councilmember Carolyn Marks.
Here.
And Councilmember Don Matheson.
Here.
Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for being here tonight. As it will be hopefully the normal process, we'll start with the opening remarks that I've given you a few bullet items about. And then we'll hopefully set the stage for some of the other discussion items that will be coming forward in the rest of the agenda. So just a quick update on boards and commissions and the candidates. There are a few appointed here tonight. There's one new person and a few reappointments. And so I did a little bit of math, had some discussions with the clerk's office. There are a number, as you already know, there are a number of people that are willing to serve the community through the boards and commissions, which I'm very thankful for. There's a bit of fluidity required because there's some people that terms will expire, maybe they'll move or or be unable to continue their service. So there's always a need to be attracting new candidates, but there's also a need to keep those folks that are willing to continue to serve. And so tonight you see some reappointments on that. A quick update, the clerk's office put a social media post out, which so far has generated 13 inquiries to participate in a board service. I've made calls to all but one person, so we'll keep making those calls to gather their interest, get where they might want to serve, and see if we can maybe put them on the agenda for future meetings for appointment on one of the boards. It's very encouraging. There's some familiar names on there, but also some new ones, which I think is great that people want to step up and be of service to the community. So I'm hoping that as we get more inquiries, I'll make those calls. I'll bring more appointments and recommendations for the council's consideration. With that, tonight you'll have, I think there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 appointments that you'll get to later on in the agenda that are part of the consent agenda. One where there's a reappointment for someone who's completed 3 terms and was willing to continue service and has a gap in service and so is now eligible for reappointment. We separated that because that's after 3 terms expiration by the charter, so we wanted to have a little bit of discussion on that. Next part is the workshop meeting update on March 3rd. Not a strong or thorough update right now. We're zeroing in on some broad categories to discuss for our workshop meeting. So there's still time for you to give me feedback on things that you'd like to discuss. As I mentioned before, I'm hoping to put it into sort of 4 sections of broad categories that we can get some deep thought into. These are not necessarily the things that we will be discussing, but the things that have kind of come together for you to think about are areas of public safety, economic development or economic progress, branding and communications, and strategic planning and housing. Those are broad categories, which I think will capture a number of the things that we can talk about. However, that's not a final list. I'm bringing it to you just so you can have something to think about, and then please let me know if you want to make some changes to that or suggest other categories. So we'll have that agenda ready hopefully next week or the week after in the normal course of business. Yes?
Can you just repeat those areas again, please?
Well, we don't want to because they're just a working list at the
All right,
moment.
that's fine.
But I will just.
I would like that too, though.
Yeah, no, I will. I'll get it to you. I have public safety, economic development, communications or branding, and strategic plan. Again, broad categories. I'm making them sort of broad in description so that we can cover a lot of areas in there. And we can certainly change that between now and when the agenda comes out for that meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Next part is the cold weather update and warming stations. In the communications I've had with the county officials and with some of our state officials, what we have done and what many of our community members have done as far as providing those that are in need in our community has been extraordinary, and we certainly want to be sure that we recognize their work and prepare for this to happen again. It's going to be cold again, and we want to do more than what we're doing right now. It's incumbent on us to do so, and we can. And so, as I mentioned in the last meeting, Pastor Casey Bradley was here, and there's some interest to try to do some more coordination locally, which I hope we will do, and sort of take an inventory and process and prepare so we can do things locally that maybe the county or the state cannot do. But that being said, they have expressed some interest in supporting us, and there might be some long-term solutions for housing that can come from it. So as I get more information from our county and state officials as far as what they can do and ideas that they're working on to support us, I'll pass that on to you. Lastly, I didn't put on the bullet, so just to be very quick, you might have seen the announcement. I'll be doing my first of a quarterly community conversations on Sunday afternoon at the Elks Lodge at 3:30. The agenda is very basic on that. I'll give some presentation, maybe sort of similar to the remarks I give right now. The whole goal of that is to open up for a feedback loop and give some feedback, comments, questions, whatever they might be from anyone in attendance, so that their answers can be addressed, their questions can be answered and addressed. And I'm hoping that this becomes a regular conversation once a quarter, so we can start getting some ideas and people involved. We'll see how it goes. I'll report back at the next meeting on how that goes. And if any of you want to come, I'd be happy to see you there, but not more than 4. It's a closed party, you know. So that as my service in my role to advise the council and to the city administrator, I think these will hopefully be very helpful because they'll give me feedback in the totality of the community and not necessarily ward specific, and I can give that information to you. Hopefully they'll guide your decision making. Any questions on that before we move into the next section? All right, we do have roundtable down on the agenda, so we can come back to some of those. There are no public hearings scheduled today. So the next portion will be the petitioners, our first opportunity. And as a reminder, there are 2 opportunities. So if you're late to the meeting or something comes up you want to address it later on, you will have that opportunity to do so. So the request to anyone who wishes to address the council is to state your name and your connection to the city, and then we will hear you for 3 minutes. So the first one is, I get my timer ready though. Sorry, I did not have that up. Okay, now we're ready. First, okay.
I will. I'm handing copies to the city clerk for one for the record, one for you, and then one for you.
Oh, this is your statement?
Yes.
Okay. I know you, sir, but if you list these for the record, state your name.
Yes. Charles Sherrard, 391 Chestnut Street, Oneonta, New York.
Thank you.
Good
You may
evening.
begin.
Good evening. I want to begin this evening by telling you about the time my aunt had leptospirosis. What began as what appeared to be an ordinary bug soon became a medical emergency, as my aunt had to be evacuated immediately to the hospital. Fortunately, she made it out okay, but I think you'll forgive me if I say that episode left a mark on me. I was living in Costa Rica at the time, so it later came as a shock to discover that there was recently an outbreak of leptospirosis in Berkeley, California. To have an outbreak on a farm in Central America is horrifying enough. To see one happen in one of the wealthiest areas on the planet is so far beyond horrifying that it would be absurd were it not real. Of course, not everyone in Berkeley is wealthy. Leptospirosis is spread via rat urine, as can be commonly found in the tent cities where Berkeley's unhoused population lives. What begins in the tent city does not stay in the tent city. We all saw too clearly with COVID that the virus did not discriminate between rich and poor, housed or unhoused. Leptospirosis is no different. Nor was COVID even the first time we had to deal with this. John Snow, a doctor in 19th century London, diagnosed cholera as originating from unsafe drinking water in working class areas of London. He did not do this as a liberal or conservative, but simply as an individual concerned about public health. It is my hope that we can take a similar attitude here in Oneonta, so I do not have to watch a neighbor go through what my aunt went. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Gail Flubber. I live at 19 Walnut Street, and I am the Vice President for Strategic Communications at Otway College. President James Malone unfortunately could not be here this evening and asked if I would represent him and the college by reading his letter of support for the City of Oneonta's partnership with Grow America. As you may know, the college has a long connection to Grow America through its president and CEO, Daniel Marsh III, who is a Otway College class of 1974 alumnus. So it is my great pleasure to share President Mullen's letter of support with you this evening. And forgive me, Mayor Butterman, but I have addressed to Mayor Drenick.
Oh,
Drafted last
no.
year. I'm so sorry. Here we go.
I'm
Apologies
leaving.
to you, Mayor.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, that's okay.
Dear Mayor Drenick and the members of the Common Council, on behalf of Hartwick College, I am pleased to express our strong support for the City of Oneonta's proposed partnership with Grow America. We appreciate the Council's thoughtful consideration of this opportunity, and we welcome the chance to voice our endorsement for the project and its potential to advance shared community goals. Hartwick has a long and meaningful connection to Grow America through its president and CEO, Daniel Marsh, a class of 1974 alumnus, whose distinguished career in community development finance has made national impact. Dan has been a dedicated partner to his alma mater, creating a fellowship through which more than 20 students have gained hands-on experience in economic development finance alongside Grow America professionals. The program gives students real opportunities to build skills, contribute to meaningful community solutions, and potentially make an impact right here in Oneonta. We have great confidence in Grow America's expertise, integrity, and proven ability to help communities pursue responsible and sustainable economic growth and development. Kevin Grance's visit and assessment of the Market Street parcel underscores this thoughtful approach. The potential for 90 to 100 mixed income apartments near public transit presents an extraordinary opportunity to expand quality housing, support employers, and strengthen Oneonta's appeal as a place to live, work, and build a future. Hartwick recognizes how increased well-located mixed income housing would benefit area employers and encourage more graduates to remain in the community. As a college committed to Oneonta's vibrancy and long-term success, we view this project as a meaningful, forward-looking investment in the city's economic stability and quality of life. The city's unrestricted reserve offers a prudent and timely opportunity to invest in Oneonta's future. Based on our long-standing experience with Grow America and the tangible value they have brought to Hartwick students, we believe this partnership has the potential to generate lasting benefits for residents, employers, and the broader community. Thank you for considering this letter for inclusion in the public record. Hartwick College is ready to collaborate with the city and Grow America as this initiative moves forward. Sincerely, James H. Mullen, President, Hartwick College. And let me pass this along.
Thank you. Thank you. Any others like to address the council? Yes, yes, ma'am.
Hi, Angela Erdley, First United Methodist Church and One Tilton Ave. I just would like to give you an update over the last 2 weeks since the last time we were here. Things have changed a little bit, of course the weather, thank goodness, but the UU Church has opened up its doors to us, so we were able to provide 4 days at the UU for individuals coming from the warming center out into the street. And instead they came into the UU Church. And we provided the same thing. We provided, food, we provided shelter, we provided clothing, and whatever it is that they needed at that moment. We gave them bus passes, we referred them to DSS, we did all the appropriate things that were necessary. This week, with the weather being warm, we are not using the UU Church because we're trying to go according to the way Code Blue works, okay? But I will tell you, it's not pretty because these people, these individuals, have nowhere to go. So they're all over the place. They're in the library. I spoke with the library just a little while ago, and he told me 30 to 40 people have been coming in every day. For them that may be a little problem, he says, but we're public and we welcome them so that they can stay warm. I do not think they're using 242 Main Street because it's just not, they have no place to sit, so it's not good for them. They're not going up to Cooperstown unless they have to go to DSS. And then they're just, once again, in places they shouldn't be. So I can't help but think that this is just a system that we're working against everything and nothing, we put these people in a box and then we let them out. And what are they to do? Where are they to go? There's no continuity of care. This is why it's so important that we really look to get a stable environment that's gonna be 7 days a week, 365, so that there could be people in those places to help these individuals. I mean, I'm not a social worker, I'm just a nurse and a mom, but I mean, we've been going, like this morning, I went to a parole officer meeting with one of the gentlemen, just to support him, just so that we can get him to the next level, you know? I didn't know what I was doing, but I was there, and it was good, you know? I'm taking somebody to DSS tomorrow to get an ID at DMV. Again, these are things that should be done by people that have those jobs. I mean, we're just ordinary people, just caring about other people. So, we just need to work harder together. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to take this opportunity? Yes, ma'am. Helen in the back was first.
Caroline Williams from SUNY Oneonta, and I believe President Carday also provided a letter regarding services from a consultant, whether it's Rural America or a different consultant, to be able to assist with Market Street planning. Should be in your packet. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you. Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't have a copy of this candy in print, but regardless.
Can you tell us your name first?
Oh, yes, of course. My name is Josephine Becker. I live on 244 Main Street here in Oneonta. So, over the past few years in Oneonta, the issue of housing, both for the homeless and the housed, has been the #1 concern for most of us living here. Let me be very clear. It is not an issue of not having the resources to properly house all of us. It is not an issue of regulation on landlords. It is not an issue of overpopulation. Simply put, it is an issue of profit over human life. I am one of only a handful of young adults who make the hard choice to stay in Oneonta after graduating from either SUNY Oneonta or Hartwick College. I have finally found an apartment on Main Street that I feel comfortable calling home, with my 2 beautiful cats and my bearded dragon named Fuego. But it is far from easy. I live paycheck to paycheck and have to fight tooth and nail with my landlord over spotty heating that goes out every other week, spotty internet, holes in my walls that's probably never going to get fixed no matter how many times I complain to my landlord about it. And I probably live a very similar lifestyle to most renters here in Oneonta. Because our landlords want to haggle every penny out of us until we either move out so that they can trap the next college student or rent out their Airbnb during the summer to a baseball tourist. Businesses do not want me to live here. When I graduate on May 16th, they want me gone so the next indebted college student can take my place. It is a vicious cycle that ensures their hold on economic and political power. People who leave no roots. They leave no community. And I urge everyone in this room to meet your neighbors and band together to discuss plans for making your homes more affordable and livable. If you live in an apartment, I encourage you to create a list of demands and send it to your landlord. If your neighbor is struggling, do what you can to help them. I stayed here not to prove a point, but because despite it all, I think Oneonta is beautiful. The festivals, the City of the Hills Festival, I go to it every year, and every year it blows my mind. I love the food, the restaurants, the pets I get to meet when I knock on their door every year when I canvass for a political campaign. The vibrant queer community we have with the Susquehanna Gender Wellness Clinic is what keeps me here as well. The local characters, the parks, the friendships. People deserve to not have to leave that all behind in the face of profit. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak now? As a reminder, there's another, yes? Go ahead.
Beverly Wood, and I'm living in the warming station right now. I had talked to you after the meeting last time, and at the meeting last time. I'm interested in opening preschool daycare before and after care center, central location, where it's an if they can, depending upon if they're working or able to work. It would be sort of like a co-op, so they would have to volunteer some of their time, so it would cut costs to run it. I know I could get, I did this on Long Island, and I worked at, it was a profit place, but, where some of the places, plenty of places, the stores, if you go to them and tell them it's a store, I'm sure they would donate, whether it's diapers or school supplies or, you know, even if get a grant somehow. I don't know how to do that, that's one of the things, somebody can help you find the right person to show them how to apply for the grant. In the meantime, I'm working for, I'm gonna try to get a loan. That way, their kids will be in a safe place, and they can go and, many of them would be easily able to get a free ride to tech school, college, or, you know, at least, for, you know, whether they get some grants or whatever, and if they have to pay off, they can do that stuff to you. But, working while they do this, and somebody else is watching their kids, they will and their leg up, and they will walk out and, become regular citizens and, contribute to the community. These guys and girls, it's not as in the eighties, but I don't know if it's not coming, there's still people that are living under the bridge because they know what they've been through in the past and other type of, homeless shelters. And you have to try to convince them, just step inside and see what the women's centers are like. It's so much different than any place I've ever seen. Not that I've ever had to stand on before, I've always worked on the other side, but guiding people through. It's one that, you know, like things that I could get for it, free books and stuff, that's so easy. Or I go to estate sales and you get a bunch of stuff there for $1 for a huge box.
Beverly?
Oh,
Beverly,
I know,
can we come back on the second opportunity? We've surpassed 3 minutes now.
okay.
Yeah, there'll be a second opportunity. Anyone else like to take this opportunity? Yes, ma'am.
Catholic Charity.
Hi,
Okay.
Risa Southern, 7th Scribbling Ave. I just kind of want to piggyback off what Angela was saying about, you know, helping the unhoused community. I've also been a part of that. I know some, like she said, feels like we're working against certain obstacles or whatever, but, I know personally, working with them at previous jobs, and also knowing people, that I used to be close to who are now unhoused. The struggle is like a big thing, is like if they're sanctioned from DSS, then they can't get help. And I know some people, unfortunately, like last winter, this wasn't a thing, so I had a loved one who stepped over the bridge a lot. So it kind of hits home, but I just, like what I saw Shenango County did with, Catholic Charities was like amazing, and have everybody kind of in one building helping the community, get their IDs, you know, apply for assistance or even jobs. I know some people aren't able to work, but there are people that are just kind of stuck that have been going out around in this ring that I worked with 2 years ago that are just kind of, you know, certain things are put in place to kind of unfortunately make it harder for some. And you kind of just have to be there to see it because it's kind of unbelievable and it's sad. So, just be a voice for those people. Everybody's human, so that's all.
Thank you. Seeing no other petitions at this time, we'll move to our next section on correspondence. There is, where is it? One correspondence, I think you may have copies of it for your review, from Andrew Hamill, that was submitted on Monday, February 16th. So if you'd like to look at it, you can. Maybe for your review later. And that'll be in the record for review. Okay, past correspondence and on to presentations. And as I mentioned earlier, I made the mistake on the first draft of the agenda, left Mark Simonson off, but I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're on the agenda. We'd like to hear your presentation and update on the 4th of July festivities celebrating 250 years.
You have a handout. My name is Mark Simonson. I live in
13 Taft Avenue, Oneonta. Lifelong resident, almost.
Thank you.
I grew up here, went to Oneonta High School, went away to college, and left Oneonta for a number of years to pursue a professional career. But I had an opportunity to come back in the late 90s, and I did. And I've lived here ever since. Very happy to live here. I've enjoyed it immensely. I'm glad to call it my hometown. And I'm still here.
Thank you. I feel the same.
Yeah. I'll share that with you. Jorgensen? Hey. There you go. I'm a historian, of course. Been a city historian since 1998. Kim Muller appointed me, just for a little bit of background. Kind of worked quietly. I've answered a lot of questions through the years for city officials and others, of course. Done a lot of research, a lot of writing, and it's all been great. So here we are, 250 years later. I just got out of high school in 1976 when we had the bicentennial. So I brought that along to show along that, yeah, we showcased a couple properties back in 1976. The Swart Wilcox House was in pretty bad shape at that time. Now it's a showcase. So is Huntington Park. They had an event at Huntington Park as well in 1976. Had a big parade, of course. The tradition continues. We're kind of thankful to the city. We formed a committee under the previous administration. We weren't recognized at that time, and I hope that we will be at this point, recognized officially by the city. And we certainly want to thank you for the funding that you've provided for us to hopefully get these events off the ground. We're working very diligently. You'll see the committee roster there, a wide variety of people, longtime Oneontans, former mayor, among other people. So, again, thank you. And kind of in a nutshell, we want to showcase these two places. The 4th of July, of course, is Hometown 4th. They have the traditional parade, the day in Neola Park, the fireworks. It's a great thing. But we, as the Oneonta 250 committee, want to kind of augment that. Not work against them, but augment a whole weekend of activities, starting Friday the 3rd and continuing Saturday and into Sunday. The first place we'll showcase Friday is the Swart Wilcox House. Hopefully an afternoon, early evening. We're working on hours. We're working on events. We certainly want to make it family friendly and something for people to do other than listen to history and proclamations and dedications of markers. We want to make history fun. We're working on that. One group that will be coming to our event at Swart Wilcox is a vintage 1825 baseball game. They'll be playing not Abner Doubleday's rules, but somebody else's. And they'll be playing kind of behind one of the fields at Swart Wilcox in the Riverside School. We're hoping to open up, as we did in '76, the Riverside Museum in the school. We're working with the schools to do that. Hopefully food, maybe ice cream or something like that. We're just trying to plan other events to go with the events that we want to have that day. Maybe not the barn. Barn's coming along, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Saturday, of course, is the big parade day. We'll come back on Sunday, and the next place we'll showcase is Huntington Park. We're going to set a huge tent up in the upper level and have what they used to have. They called these things chautauquas years ago. We'll just call it a big tent with a lot of entertainment in it for making it simple. Okay? But the Oneonta Community Concert Band is very interested in playing. We're working with them to do that. We want other organizations to come for music and entertainment. We'll use the lower level, the upper level, because Chautauqua actually happened in the upper level of Huntington Park in 1914. So we're bringing back an old tradition that hasn't been around since probably the 1930s here. Okay? And that's what we're looking to do. Family friendly and a lot of good times for the 4th of July weekend. Kind of like a magnet to draw more people here for the weekend. what we're working on.
Thank you.
So can I ask?
Anyone have any
Any
questions?
quick questions?
Yes.
Is there anything you need from me or us? How can we help you?
I'd like to talk with you about that, maybe at a later date.
Okay,
But,
let us
so
know.
You've got my business card there.
Yeah, I do. It's so
I
cute.
still carry around little business cards for you. Retro, I say. Other questions?
No, Council at this time? Yeah.
Judy's apples won't be ripe though, will they?
What's that?
Judy's apples won't be ripe though, will they? In the orchard down by Stewart's.
Okay.
Wilcox House.
We would
Judy,
appreciate
I got
that.
right
Hey.
here. Judy, we gotta go
Yes.
through that. We gotta go through that apple orchard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Orchard restored.
I have not been there.
Oh, we'll have to do a tour when
Thank you for
I-
it, too.
Okay.
Thank you. I have no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting it all together. It's going to be a wonderful 3-day event or a series of events. And I'm very excited for the Oneonta Community Concert Band. I might have seen them play a few times.
Looking forward to working with everybody.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Group of people is interesting. It's a great group of people
It
you
is.
got.
Yes.
This
It's a
is
very
Yes.
strong group.
quite the lineup.
Yes. Pretty ambitious.
Thank you. Okay, well, next part is the city administrator's report, which I understand there is no report.
I will take questions.
Oh.
But this is a question moment then. No questions? Maybe there might be questions down the agenda on other items. All right, onto the boards and commissions task force. The environmental board, Councilmember Cecilia Walsh Rousseau cannot be here tonight, but she did ask me to just put this in the air so you know what is going on from the environmental board. So I'm just going to let you know what she has summarized for me. The environmental board proposed during their meeting on February 10th the creation of an annual environmental sustainability in order to raise awareness annual environmental sustainability award in order to raise awareness and increase public involvement in environmental issues. The goal of the program is to encourage environmentally responsible behavior in a positive way, highlight creative and unique sustainable efforts within our community, and recognize local leadership and innovation in environmental stewardship, and foster a sense of civic pride and friendly participation among residents and businesses. This is just in its infancy, so she asked I let you know about it, that they're working on it, and if you have any comments or questions or thoughts you'd like to share with her as she reports back to the environmental board, then please do so. But it seems like a good time, since they're starting to form an idea and they want to take action on the idea, that we should bring it to the council so you can get a chance to hear about it and comment if you'd like. Any questions from now that I can at least make a note of for her?
Nope.
I
Okay,
think it
thank
sounds
you.
like a great idea.
Good. Yeah, I feel the same way. So I'm glad to hear that they're working on it. Okay, finally we have committee reports after 3 meetings. So we have a few here. We have all the committees I think met now and have some reports, so we'll go through it. We have the communications committee report first, so that will be Councilmember Matheson.
Well, I was out sick
that's
that
right.
day, so I think
Right.
Elaine had,
That was a while ago now. Oh, let me pull out notes. We can do this, because we co-chaired the meeting.
Yep.
And first we spoke with Otsego Media, Corey Rowe came, so we got to review that proposal, which is on our agenda, and we got to have a good conversation with him about what that's gonna look like and what that partnership is gonna look like between the city and Otsego Media. We talked about a strategic communication plan and developing a strategic communication plan, which sounds like it's going along with some of the workshop topics. So that's something that we want to, as a committee, look into doing. We also talked about taking an inventory of our current communications. And that looks like the bulk of what we talked about, unless you have other details. I think we were really just kind of setting the tone, and we didn't have our chair there, so we wanted to also leave it open, to what direction, Councilmember Matheson wants to add to that too, so.
I think one of the big takeaways that I had from our conversation was the development of both internal and external communication strategies to, just better improve the flow of information from, the place where things might be happening to, the people in the community. So I think that'll be an interesting elephant to eat during the committee. One of the things I will just say, because I know, we were talking
you. Next committee is negotiations. Councilmember Harrington.
Yeah, we met February 5th at 5 o'clock. We kind of stumbled through as it's a new committee, trying to get our feet under us what we wanted to do. We did have 5 things on the agenda to start going through. We talked about some lease agreements with Oneonta Little League, our Swart Wilcox property. That's a program that's been growing for our youth, and we want to try to help them along. We also talked about, the big one was the collection on 47 Market Street with our garbage and how we can help there. A lot of questions were asked, a lot of information passed back and forth to give to both the mayor and to our city administrator to reach out to businesses. We also sent the legislative possible if they wanted to change in a code for the backside of the buildings on the Water Street, if that's something they want to entertain, so we can have some type of garbage there versus us doing it at the city. Everything is just a big circle. We're just trying to, really encompass everything to try to get the best plan of action going. Looked at some right-of-way agreements with Go Net Speed, and there was an opportunity there that because we have to allow them to come and put stuff on the infrastructure, and some of our stuff will be moved, but we saw it as an opportunity to work with them and try to get some of the stuff that we need in the way of getting stuff moved and stuff so that we're not paying for it. But they got certain requirements they got to meet between ISAG and stuff like that. And then really we just came up with how to we're going to work this. I think some of the stuff is first time coming in front of us before we're ready to make any kind of agreements. And further, we're going to ask the questions, get stuff back. And then we'll have our city attorney come in so we're not wasting his time to if and when we get to a contract part, if we have specific questions and stuff like that, and what we should look at and stuff like that. So that was kind of the gist of that meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Legislative Committee, Councilmember Carson.
Thank you, Mayor. We met February 9th, and we discussed what Scott was just talking about with the Water Street Refuge, the storage. So it was quite a conversation of what does that look like on Water Street, from what is a potential with the trash compactor, its location, where would the chute be to, do you go back to having each building owner store the refuge inside their building, and on the days of collection that they would move it out, to that there's a permanent storage facility and its location is different. So we went through all that, and I think at the end of the meeting we decided to table the issue, and we're going to talk about it again next month.
That's it. All right, thank you. Okay, Budget Review and Strategic Planning Committee, that is Councilmember Parashute.
Yes, we met and discussed what approach we're gonna try to take. It's kind of another elephant, right? But I think just diving into, the resources that we wanna utilize and through, going through the resources that we've been given to be able to figure out what strategy we wanna take. So we asked for additional information to review at our next meeting, and we did talk about a couple of areas within the city that we want to do like a deeper dive into. But I think overall, we agreed that the goal should be to, understand better, why certain things are the way that they are, so that we can make informed recommendations going forward. So, yeah, good meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Moving right along. Quality of Life and Infrastructure Committee, that is Councilmember Moshe.
Yes, so I'm going to try my best to make this one brief because we did have a lot to talk about. We met last week on the 11th, which was actually our January meeting, and we're meeting again on Monday the 23rd is our February meeting. We did not have a December meeting, but I want to thank Councilmember Harrington, for leading the way last year and the previous years with, chairing that committee, and I'm now taking that over, and hopefully we'll fill those shoes. So first of all, we talked a bunch about the EV charging stations. We reviewed a lot of data that was attached to that agenda for folks who want to dive into that, and right now what we really determined is that's a wait and see. How this year goes with the addition of new capacity with the EV charging stations at the Market Street ports. So we're going to continue to review that data on at least an annual basis and see how that's going. Right now, the way that service works out is that we currently break almost even for providing that service with the costs that we incur for maintenance and everything on those. Let's see, motion number 4, I think it is, the one about the parking, right? Yep. So this is about the parking sign changes for Huntington and Mitchell. The committee reviewed recommendations made by DPW and Transit and the city administrator to alleviate some concerns with parking on Huntington. This is also going to open up some parking on Mitchell Street year-round, which will benefit visitors to Nader Towers. And in turn, we hope that that will reduce the parking congestion on Huntington, especially during those winter months. Valley View Street traffic flow at school arrival and dismissal was discussed. We recognize that this is a challenging area with limited space for, making sure that the children are safe and, the traffic flow as well. So we're going to continue to address that. It's going to involve some discussions with the school district as well. We also reviewed pavement marking suggestions and recommended lines for Chestnut Street Extension, East Main Street, Market Street, and River Street. We started to delve into this idea of the city building naming uniformity, and we are going to come back with some more information and review current practices like the street naming to look at some criteria that we want to establish. We are also happy to support a volunteer who stepped up to do maintenance for cross-country skiing with a motorized vehicle. This necessitated some coordination with Susquehanna Greenway, who agreed to that, and a volunteer waiver is going to be set up for that. And then finally, this was not on our agenda, but we also checked in about the maintenance of the Deach Street parking lot, which had been in the CLIC agenda and discussions quite a few times last year. So during the most recent major storm event, a few weeks ago, a PSA was issued. The lot was posted with a date and time that all vehicles were to be removed for overnight maintenance. However, there were still a number of vehicles that were ticketed and towed for that. So going forward, DPW is going to make sure to use orange-backed notices so that they're more noticeable in the future, and the public is again encouraged to sign up for Nixle so that everybody gets those alerts on when those things are coming through. There is also some concern about potential long-term parking happening in the Deach Street parking lot, so we also had some consideration of possible parking enforcement after hours. It was a full agenda.
You did a very good summary, thank you. Yes, Councilmember Metzen.
I'm learning about the Valley View parking. What's the problem there?
So the issue there is that with Valley View Street and the elementary school being right there, there's no pull-off for the buses. So at the pickup and drop-off times, the solution has been that the buses actually just block the street.
Right, the angle.
They angle and they block the street, okay? And I can say as a parent who brought my child before they started doing that, cars would just drive by these buses. The buses would be honking, people would yell at them to stop, and people just kept going. So the buses go across.
They'll like go around the back of the bus.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So there's
My
issues.
grandson went there.
Yeah, so, and then it came to light because recently residents of Ward 1 had contacted me with concerns that they were also being blocked into their driveways by parents showing up for pickup and drop off and just leaving their cars. And one person was not able to return to work on time because of that. So we brought this back up. I understand that this is, an area that has gotten attention before in the past. We just want to revisit it and see if there's some new strategies that we can look at now.
You don't have any plans right now?
So this is really an issue that needs to be discussed with the school district because it's in regards to how they're placing their buses, where their pickup and drop off is. We can make some suggestions and work with the school district, but it sounds like it's really going to be a project for the school district.
Thank you. Moving to the next, Finance and Human Resources Committee, since Councilmember Walsh Rousseau is not here. But anyone else from that committee like to give a report?
I think I was the only one that was there, so.
Oh. Well, I'd really like to hear from you, Councilmember Harrington.
Yeah, we met on Thursday, the 12th at 5 p.m. There's a few that are here on the consent agenda. Some of it's with the fire department with the replacement of their Scott packs. That's not all of them, but that's a good portion of them to get started. I believe, if I remember right, and you can hit me upside the head if I get this wrong, but the Scott pack life cycle for the carbon fiber bottles are only about 10 years. So before we gotta get rid of them, so we're getting a little bit, trying to be a little proactive there, get some of those done. We had another discussion about some doors that need to be replaced at the public safety building as they're becoming a safety issue for the people that work there. And then we had a little longer conversation about the jail cell and some proofing of the toilets, their special order toilets. We went through this whole thing. I got an education. I never thought I'd ever get on toilets, so thank you, Chris.
Thank you for keeping it to yourself.
Yeah, probably. And then on the discussion agenda, there was number 12. We put that one on discussion because I was looking at the purchasing policy for the city, with a change there. And number 11 came back to discussion because, as you said in the opening, that's somebody that's come off of the Board of Public Service who'd like to go back on. But as we discussed it into the meeting, and we'll just probably discuss it here, is how long, the charter's kind of gray here, how long do you have to be on, how long before you get put back on, and stuff like that. And we just thought that that'd be more of a council decision on what they feel comfortable with.
Sure. All right, thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you for the report. So now we will move in to some of the motions. The approval of warrants is the first. The motion that the Common Council approves the warrants totaling $640,823.58, and that the same be placed on the Finance Director's desk for payment as presented. Have a motion? Councilmember Moshe Campoli first, second, Councilmember Matheson. Any discussion? Want me to call the roll? Okay, clerk, can you call the roll?
Councilmember Moshe.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
I
Can you do it?
I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it.
I'm trying.
Aye.
I'm sorry. Where are we? Where is it?
Number
On,
two.
where is it on?
Here.
Thank you. Okay, you
I'll do it.
and then
I'm not allowed.
and you, okay. Councilmember Lepari Shu.
Aye.
Aye. Councilmember Carson.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Marks.
Yes.
And Councilmember Matheson.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to next. Now we're on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to accept as presented? Councilmember McHugh. Okay, on consent, right?
Yeah.
Second, we need a second.
I saw. Sorry, who was second?
Nobody.
All right. So maybe.
I just want.
Wait, I'm sorry. I gotta write it in. Sorry. Motion number 2. Got it. Okay. That's consent agenda. I'll call the roll. Councilmember Moshe Campoli.
Aye.
Right.
No, I was just gonna say I'm really happy that Russo and Bryce got put on Human Rights Commission. So.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Councilmember McHugh. Councilmember McHugh.
Yes.
Yes. Councilmember Lepari Shu.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Marks.
Yes.
And Councilmember Matheson.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Passes. So we're on to the next, which is, where is it? Okay, now we've moved down to discussion agenda, which is the motion number 11. Look at that, number 11. The motion that the common council concurs with the mayor's recommendation and approves the following appointments of the city of Oneonta residents to city boards and or commissions. Do I have a motion? Okay, Councilmember Carson is in the second, Councilmember Marks. Okay, so to open the discussion, as I said at the beginning, I think it was a good call to separate it from the consent agenda so we can discuss it as a council, that Marjorie Merzick has served 3 complete terms, and by the charter, that would be the limit. But like you said, it does not provide a description as far as a waiting period or any reappointment. In discussion, I think with city administrator, as far as what are the reasonable efforts that we can make to find members, willing citizens of the city to participate in boards and commissions. And so in my view, that was my action with the clerk's office to put out a request for which we have received some inquiries, which is very good. And we'll evaluate those inquiries. And if you have others, you're more than welcome. That's not the only channel we want to look at. And I will do my part to reach out to those people that have requested consideration for boards and commissions. So in my view, the reasonable nature is looking for new applicants and also looking to those that are willing to continue to serve. And I think that this appointment would certainly fit that, that order of operation. So with that, that's my opening, but the discussion, yes, Councilmember Marks.
Mayor, I was just going to ask, has there, on the list that we received, have any of those interested people, are they actually putting down the commission or board?
Yes.
That they would
With,
prefer to?
with the, on the form, what they have submitted, they'll select the ones that they are interested in, and when I have spoken to the ones that I've spoken to, I ask them, what is your preference? You know, order, like, what first one you like, which one you like, and then I'll ask questions about where their interests are, where their experiences are, where their time commitments are, so I get a sense of what they can and cannot do, so that we don't ask them to do something that they cannot do.
Has anyone expressed?
Yeah, it looks like 2 people are going to the same board. What we just approved, Mark and Charles are going to the same board.
Where are we here?
Oh, yes.
Mark
So it
and
probably needs people.
those are, yeah, those are reappointments because they are eligible
Right.
for reappointment, correct?
Or
Yes.
Well, they were real.
Yeah, so on the list that we just approved, Mark Boschling and Charles Harley were reappointments, and they were eligible for so without the consideration we have down there. Rousseau and Bryce also reappointments that were eligible without additional consideration. Sally Hahn, Marcelo Machucci, and our reappointments. Alex Simon is a new person for commission service. He is replacing Sam Baskin, I think, who had resigned his position. So that's why his term is finishing that term. And then Peter Aruda is another reappointment, also eligible for reappointment. So the list that I sent you earlier of the candidates that have come forward are sort of still in process, if you will.
How many vacancies do we have?
So I didn't bring the spreadsheet with me at the moment, but
Board of Public
several.
Service.
There's Board of, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Board of Public Service only has one.
You have one right now, which is this one. The ZBA has one. I'm going on memory right now. The Board of Assessment Review, I think, has 3. And I have to look at the other ones. Those
No,
are,
it's
yeah.
okay. I don't expect you to memorize the
Thank you.
boards.
But
Okay.
but the clerk's office gave me a list of the current roster of the boards and commissions with their appointment and their expiration date, and some that are coming up. And so it's highlighted, some that are gonna be coming up in the next few months. So it's not just for right now for vacancies, it's also trying to be ahead of the curve, if you will, to try to be ready for vacancies. So if someone's term ends and maybe they elect not to be reappointed or whatever conditions may change, we still have maybe a roster of people we can look to.
So this is just for 1 term?
Correct, yes,
That's it?
yeah.
Okay.
The one that we're discussing
For-
right now, yes.
yes.
Yes, that's correct.
So,
Yes.
so I just wanna bring up what we're looking at, back when we were talking about this back and trying to take term limits off of the board, back in, was it Charter Review Committee we did this? And, the argument back then from council members was that the term limits are there so you can turn over and you can get some new people in and
Yeah.
get them involved and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And so that's why the term limits were there. Charter very gray in this area, it just says when term out, but it doesn't say how long you have to be out. I can only think of 1 or 2 people that I know of in my time that have been reappointed, and they've been off the board for at least a year. So, you know, there is no kind of set, but I think that's something that we really should probably take a look at, is try to, because this seems to come up, I think in both councils I've been on, this seems to come up again, like what is the term, what is, when you're off, is it 1 day, is it 1 hour, is it 1 minute, is it?
Right.
And I think a good standard would be a year, to at least come off a year, and then you can go back on, you know, but that's just my opinion, but, you know.
That might be something for the legislative committee to think about as far as a revision, and give a prescription as far as what that.
Prescription.
I'm just trying.
I was gonna say, on human rights, it was really helpful because Joyce Miller, right, like, so when I got on it, she had already been on there for quite some, I think like 10 years at that point or something. Most of the people on there had been, and we needed some turnover and some fresh blood, and so like, we slowly got that, but like, she was chair and like I was vice chair for quite a bit, and like she kind of like handed over the reins and I learned things, and it was like I think a nice transition to like have somebody who had like the knowledge and the basic, you know, like to hand it over, but then she was still there participating and had the information and to fall back on kind of thing. And I want to say she did like way more terms than she was supposed to.
Yeah.
So
are we, sorry, Scott, are we looking at reappointment to the same commission? So in other words, Marcia would like to be reappointed to the Board of Public Service as opposed to being appointed to a different board or commission.
Which would make sense, because then knowledge be, right, there's that knowledge.
That's essentially the balance we want to strike, is bringing in new people while also maintaining continuity.
So,
Yes.
Mayor, to your point, that board there has, the two that you just reappointed have been there, this is like their first complete reappointment, so that's 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, the current chair there has been, I think this is gonna end up being his last time before he terms out, I believe.
I have to go back to the roster, you might be correct.
But, and then you have, I can never remember her name, Toby,
I know the name, I understand.
but she's on there, so, I mean, this is, you know, you can also look at this as an opportunity because you have the seasoned people there to get, you know, somebody new on there, get them start getting into to do that too. I'm not saying I'm for this or against this, I'm just trying to.
No, it's,
you know,
so for my chair, as far as trying to look at the total roster and look at the people who have available, willing to serve, trying to match up, encouraging people to participate that haven't participated before, while also trying to keep people that have quite a bit of knowledge and institutional knowledge and experience to help them. So it's always kind of it's not going to be a perfect balance. It's going to be slightly imperfect, but always trying to keep an eye for those changes. So we don't make too abrupt a change, but we also allow change to happen. Yeah.
But I think that's a good point, right?
Mhm.
Because it's going to be years before this comes up again. So and
Potentially.
you already have how many people that are like asking.
So we
can
have.
we table her maybe for right now,
If you'd
and
like
then
to.
see if any of the people who you've talked to maybe are interested, or she might even be interested in going somewhere, or any of the other people on there are interested in going elsewhere, and like restarting.
We mean,
a term.
on the list, you mean that I
On
presented to you
the
earlier?
Board of Public Service.
Mm-hmm.
So we can get like some new people, because the whole point is like we have to be
Yes.
able to hand this off at some point.
In my sort of processing, going through the list that have come in so far,
Mhm.
and then making notes as far as what their actual interests are, because they might give 3 or 4 that they're interested in, which one would be like their first choice, second choice, third choice, and aligning those, and then I'll have a clear picture as far as where they could potentially go,
Right.
based on their commitment. So just trying to fit all those pieces together. My thinking is that the next time I would bring more appointees would be our second meeting in March, since our first meeting is going to be the workshop meeting. They'll also give you time to present them for the committee and then bring it forward. So there'll be more names coming. And if you'd like to table it, it's something you can certainly do.
Yeah, I don't think it's like her or anything. I think
Yeah.
we would be happy to put her somewhere. I just think I'm with Scott on this. Like there's a lot of knowledge there already. Why not get some new blood in there? Like maybe reevaluating all the just making sure we're getting new people in.
Yes, I'm happy to say there are some names, not just reappointments. There was 13 names already. some others that might come forward. So if you have any recommendations, I'm certainly happy to hear it. Yes.
Yeah, I definitely value bringing in new blood. I also know that we've been struggling to keep up with the, keeping all of these commissions and boards,
It's too many.
full.
Yeah.
And that may be the case, but, a full review is going to take time. And I know the meetings that I've attended for the Board of Public Service, Marjorie Merzig has really seemed like to be the base of their institutional knowledge, and I know that there are other folks, and I'm glad that, more folks are, getting involved, and I don't know what what training goes into that, but that definitely has more, technical aspects, to it, more knowledge, and so I would be concerned about, learning, or losing, the institutional knowledge that she has there right now.
The glue, okay.
She's a good.
I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, but to me, I see the value of having her there while we can conduct, a further review, because I don't think you're, off base in saying that, we have a lot, and that does make it, hard to fill. But in the meantime, how do we fill the positions that are currently existing?
That's the balance that we're
Yeah.
trying to figure out. Put your hand up.
Yeah, the
Yes.
only thing that I would say is that we did look at this in the Charter Review Committee, and we mulled things such as what constitutes a reasonable effort, how much time should someone be off, and I think we brought it for a vote a couple times, and it just was voted down. So it's possible that maybe we want to bring back that motion, have the discussion as a full council, and then just go from there, rather than reinventing that wheel.
For me, since being what motion are you referring to as far as, did it describe sort of parameters?
Yeah, it was a motion to amend the charter based on term limits for, boards and commissions. Yeah, and so I'm sure that language could probably be unearthed, and, we could discuss with that as a starting point, right? And maybe, because I think I even remember Councilmember Carson asking, like, the current, or the people who were on council at the time, like, what would you change, like, if you, in order for you to approve this, what would you wanna see, differently? And I think at the time, it was just like, no, we're not gonna approve this because, of the idea, and I think it's a good one, ideally, right, that you're always getting new people and new ideas. But yeah, so maybe that's a good, like, jumping off point rather than starting at square one.
Also for consideration is that bringing forward the motion or revising it or bringing it forward again for discussion, I'm not sure how to quantify it, but I'll be concerned as far as the number of vacancies I see coming up and having a process in place to make sure that we still have adequate number of people on each of those commissions and boards so that they can continue to do their service.
Right.
Okay.
So that would kind of,
I don't mind
that would
voting
shift.
on this right now, cause I believe Lane.
Okay.
And if she needs to be, you know what I'm saying, but my thing is that we need to do something, like, maybe we need to evaluate the boards, and maybe we need to squish some together, or
That sounds like a good workshop discussion, doesn't it?
It does.
That's something
It
that
does
needs to
sound,
happen.
yeah.
I think,
There-
sorry, may I?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that part of the concern that was brought up the last time that this, was a topic for discussion was that, and I'm not opposed to this at all, cause I agree, I know that she knows her stuff, and is really, really valuable to that commission. And, but one of the things that was brought up was the idea of, like, setting a precedent about it, and I know that, then if we proceed with, discussion and come to a decision about how we wanna go forward, but I think just keeping in mind that, like, previously, when this came up, it wasn't allowed to go forward, and now, obviously, a different council, different set of views, different, perspectives, we may put it forward, but I think that there's always kind of that, we deal with this a lot on the Board of Public Service, that you wanna treat, each situation, unless there's a novel difference, you sort of wanna treat it equitably, and I feel like, I just wanted to throw that into the room, that, we have sort of had this discussion previously about commissions with specialized knowledge and, people who have been doing it for a really long time, and the sentiment during that discussion was that, there was no way, or that, that there was no way that we were gonna, continue that, and sort of so be it, that the commission would figure itself out, you know, and it has, you know, but it has been a struggle for sure. So, anyway, I think it always used to, it was always, let me say, it was always kind of bittersweet when someone would say, well, let me just, you know, let me tell you the history of that, but here I am finding myself doing it. Sorry.
I'm glad you
Sorry,
did
Dave, every time I rolled my eyes at you. All right.
But we also, wanna keep in mind that we wanna be able to have enough people to fill the
Right.
positions on the commission in order to have a quorum. There's nothing worse than having a committee, you are supposed to meet, you don't have a quorum, and you can't get
Right.
any business done.
Right.
We do that at council too, not have it.
It happens from time to time. We're not gonna have a, yes, Councilmember Carson.
Everything that Katie said is spot on, and she's a very good historian. I would
Well said.
humbly suggest, I've already put it on the notes for the legislative committee that we will, we'll talk about the reappointment after someone is termed out, because that's not, I don't wanna make your job any harder. We're not talking about filling positions in boards and commissions and committees before they term out. This is regarding terming out.
Mhm.
And so I would humbly suggest, making an amendment to the expiration date of 1 year. So then that would give legislation some breathing room, because this individual is the glue to that committee, that commission. She was the one that spoke to us in front of our legislative committee.
Yeah.
She's the only one that spoke, so I know that she has a lot of depth and knowledge that is needed. So that would also give her time to plan a succession so that she can hand the baton off to someone else.
Okay.
Is that?
If I understand you correctly,
That,
I don't know
we
if-
choose on legislative to say what a term limit is, right? Like, if that's we.
Yeah, what does that look like after, to reappoint someone when they
Right.
term out, right? So that's 3 consecutive terms.
So, do we then give her, do we say here, have till 2029, and then we decide what that looks like?
No, I'm suggesting
you're
that.
reducing
Yeah.
it to
You're
28.
saying a year.
To 27, right? So we're in 26 for 1 year.
Oh, 20, right here, it is
1 year,
26.
right?
I just consulted with our city attorney because I don't have my copy of the charter handy, but he said that we can't do a 1-year appointment.
Okay.
if they're 3
So it has to
Okay.
be for the term.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He's being quiet. Okay.
Well,
No,
I
we
hope,
whispered-
I
we
wanted to be
whispered
quiet.
Ask me a question if you want.
All right.
Okay.
I
He
don't
does
get
have to
vote
go
here.
home eventually. so-
We do,
True,
yeah. Okay.
But this will give us time to, you know what I mean, to decide what those term limits look like on legislative.
What will give you time? Make sure I follow you correctly.
Hmm?
What will give you time?
I was talking to Len, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. We have a number of issues to work through.
We do.
The motion at hand is, yes.
I just got a question.
Yep.
You said that if we didn't do this here, you're gonna bring everything back next month at the second.
I have more candidates working through to bring for consideration, yeah.
So, I don't think going 1 month, tabling for 1 month will hamstring that committee.
That's true.
Me being as
No,
the
I don't think it
liaison to
will.
that committee, I would tell you, I think this would also give them a chance to see how they can function. And then, I can also report back to you being like, yeah, I think we need to do this, or no, I think we can, see if you have.
Yeah. Just 2 things on that. One is there'll be other candidates, right, for other boards that will be on the table as well. My recommendation may or may not change based on consideration. So I just want you to know that this is a recommendation based on my consideration. And I think we all know her qualities.
Yeah.
And I find them very high quality. So if I can get her service to the betterment of Oneonta, then I'm going to take it. Yeah. So, but thank you.
Well, I'll make
So
a
now we
motion.
have.
I'm gonna make a motion
Thank
to
you.
table this.
Okay,
Second.
one motion from Councilmember Harrington, and I heard a second.
That was me.
The party, thank you. Okay. How do I write that on here?
I can read it, you can talk.
Okay, you write it, I'll do it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, teamwork.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you ready? I was holding on to the paper too long. Okay. Call, Councilmember Motion Campoli.
No.
Did you read the motion?
The motion is to table the motion.
Motion to
That's what we're
table.
doing.
Yeah. The motion is to table motion 11. Yeah.
That's it currently.
Yeah. Okay, good. Are clear? Okay. Councilmember Motion Campoli.
No.
No. Councilmember Wolferso, Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Lupari Shu.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Marks.
Yes.
And Councilmember Matheson.
Yes.
Thank you. That's it. Make sure I have my order correct. That was both. Okay, we're on to motion 12. There's some supporting documentation for this motion. The motion is that the Common Council approves the revision of page 10 of the city's 2026 purchasing policies and procedures manual as presented effective February 18, 2026. Have a motion? Motion of Councilmember McHugh, a second from Councilmember Mosher Campoli. And discussion? Where is this? There it is, thank you.
So, over the weekend, I spent some time thinking about this. And, if we pass this measure, this motion, the council will be losing the ability, in some cases, not all cases, to reconsider some purchases, and they'd usually be large purchases. Conditions can change. You know, in November and December, when we vote on the budget, something might seem like a good idea, but then 3 months, 6 months, 9 months later, it might not seem like such a good idea because conditions have changed. So, as far as the, another thing that was mentioned in relation to this was that the Finance and HR Committee has a lot of things on their plate. This might make it simpler and more efficient. I don't agree with that argument. So it comes down to this. There's a potential, if this measure passes, if this motion passes, there's a potential for negative consequences. If it fails, there's no negative consequences. We'll be continuing to do what we're doing now. So I don't think it's a good idea.
Okay, thank you. Other comments or questions? Yes, Councilmember Harrington.
So, yeah, I kind of went back and forth with this at the meeting when we were discussing it. I said I can understand the idea of streamlining things, but I can also understand not doing it. And one of the biggest things that this council is charged with is the budget. And just because we put a monetary holder into the budget for a certain thing doesn't always mean that that's where that we have to spend that money there, because as we know, stuff comes up. COVID being a prime example. We got into COVID about 3 months into our term, and we first thing we did is one of the questions we sat there and said was, let's really watch how we spend things. We didn't come right out and say, a spending freeze, but the department heads heard what we were saying. And, and I think that, as things change, and like to Don's point, coming back and forth, but it also, we've been talking about looking at policies as a whole. And I think instead of just looking at one part of the purchasing policy and say, let's do this, I think let's look at the policy as a whole. Because we may want to change that whole document. And that document actually is the power of the council to change. I mean, we sit there and we do the directions and what we want and stuff like that. I'm not saying the policy's bad. It probably won't change anything. I just think as a whole, let's look at it. I mean, we've gone through it. So I think right now, I'm not going to support this as it is.
But
Thank you.
couldn't we
Councilmember
just support this and then look at it as a whole and change it?
I think we give up power. I'm like with Don. I think we give up the whole thing of, because like right now, they come in front of us in the finance
Why
committee.
would that power be taken from us?
Because right now they
to
come up to us in the, powers maybe not be the right word, but what it does is, right now they have to come in front of us in the, we put it in the budget. And then they say they're gonna do this, they have to come in front of the finance committee. The finance committee, we can sit there and say, well, is there, X, Y, and Z, what's this, what's that? They sit there and tell us back and forth, and then we either say, yes, we push it to the council, or no, we don't. Very few times do we ever hold something up in committee, because it should be a council discussion if we're gonna withhold something back. So it should always, I think the council should always have the say because, if we're gonna do that, and, you know, like, I don't have a good example off the top of my head right now, but with the budget and the stuff, because every year we sit here, starting the budget, we're like, we don't wanna do this, we gotta watch our spending, we need to look over this. And part of my job is to make sure that comes in front of me, so I can sit there and say, yeah, I'm looking at where we stand, I think this is a good purchase, or no, I don't think we should go through with this, I don't think this is a good purchase at this time. And that's where I can stand at the council and be like, no, I don't think we should do this. Just because we put it in the budget doesn't necessarily mean that should be the blanket of, well, it's here, we can go ahead and do this. So that's kind of where I stand, and, you know, I'm just one person, that's.
Great, Councilmember Campoli.
The way that I'm reading this, though, is that it's not just a blanket. It says, you know, to allow the use of certain intergovernmental, you know, purchasing contracts and, you know, state contracts piggybacking, you know, purchasing. Yeah, I'm just not sure, because from what I'm understanding is that, you know, it doesn't take the control from the council to make these decisions about where the money is, you know, where the funds are being spent. My understanding is that it's, you know, allowing more efficiency, which is what we've been looking for in our processes.
Yes.
I don't think it's a matter of efficiency. I think it's a matter of the council having oversight of how we spend our money. It's not inefficient for all the spending that currently goes to the finance committee. We discuss it, and most of it just moves through. But occasionally, there'll be instances where circumstances change, and we want to either delay or just not purchase something, because we're talking about a primary responsibility, which is how we spend money. If we don't make a change, things will go along just the way they are, and they're working.
Yes, please. Yes.
You know, when we talked about, I mean, there was some claim of potential negative consequences if we go forward with this. You know, I'm not seeing those negative consequences. Like I said, what I'm seeing is, you know, potential efficiencies that are, you know, could be added into the system and help us out. You know, so without any other, you know, description, yeah, again, you know, I think that this would really, you know, help out some of these issues that we've been facing.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that the purchasing policies is one of the things that the budget committee is going to be taking a look at this year, just in terms of budget control. So whether that, you know, makes you for or against this motion, that is something that will be revisited this year by the budget committee. One of the things that we've requested to do. So.
Thank you. I didn't see what you have. Maybe Councilmember Marks.
Yes, I was at that meeting last week, and being new on the council, I wasn't really quite sure what that all meant. So I did a little homework, and I too feel that before approving any changes to our purchasing, first of all, do we have confirmation that this review will align with the New York State procurement requirements and best practices? I'm not opposed to revisiting page 10, but I really personally don't feel that the motion is ready for approval tonight. I just want to make sure that we're more informed before we make a responsible decision, and I don't think that is this evening.
I think an example of, it's a hypothetical of how it could be a negative. So if we had approved the purchase of, I don't know, a big truck, and it was a couple of $100,000, and then before the actual purchase is made, we find out that tax receipts are low, or some other reason we don't have the money, or it'll be a difficult thing if we spend that money. It should come back to the committee and then to the full council to make that decision. We could say, yes, go ahead with the purchase, or we could say, given the changing circumstances, we'll delay it.
So you feel like our city staff is going to be irresponsible and buy the truck anyway?
I'm not suggesting that at all.
Oh, what are you suggesting? Who's going to buy the things with no money?
If I were to, I think the suggestion is that he wants the council to have that second chance to to look
Right.
at it.
I'm confused though.
If case conditions change, so, yes.
Wait,
Again.
wouldn't we get it anyway though?
This is,
This
well,
is-
that, for some, and again, this is for some, this is, very, for limited kinds of purchases here. And, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So I'm just curious if maybe, Greg, if you could tell us how this would benefit, the way
Greg.
purchases are going. I'm sorry, that is not coming out right, but if you could give us your perspective on why this would be a helpful change, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, so during the budget process, particularly this year, we had a number of budget request forms for larger items. All of the equipment purchases that were included in the budget had a form that described the justification, what the purchase was, the estimated amount, the amount that ultimately was budgeted. So at that time, by discussing those and approving the budget, the council said, given what we know, obviously things can change, but given what we know, we intend to make this purchase. You do that for the entire budget. You're setting a budget for the year, we go through, we make purchases every day. These are things, in this particular case, that because they're above a certain dollar amount, so it's above $20,000, normally we'd have to do a bid for a piece of equipment that's above $20,000. Most of the time, we don't actually have to do that because we're able to piggyback on a New York State contract that's already been competitively bid, Onondaga County contract that's been competitively bid, or using Sourcewell or another joint procurement consortium that we can utilize contracts that have already satisfied, to your point, Carolyn, the state's procurement requirements for a city. So by utilizing those contracts, the council isn't awarding a bid, we're just utilizing another contract that's already there. So it's a means of procuring services, or in this case, equipment. The budget, the council can change that at any time. The other piece of this, in these, not to confuse things, maybe I will, but when we have things that are funded through restricted reserves, those we typically have brought back through council, even though they've already been included in the budget. DPW dump truck, $250,000, highway equipment reserve, water equipment reserve, sewer equipment reserve. We would still bring that back to council to have authorization to pull that money out of the reserves at the time of the purchase. That's been our policy. And I think that's something we still have to do at some point during the year. It could be in January, the first meeting, if you say, yeah, go ahead and purchase this as soon as you're able to. Or it could be, as we've historically done it, as the need arises. So they kind of trickle in through the finance committee. Whenever Charlie gets the quotes and works with DPW or fire, police, whoever it is, we bring that forward along with a motion to piggyback on a contract or use Sourcewell. So I don't think that technically we need to be bringing the Sourcewell contracts, the piggybacking through council at all. We've been doing that. I don't think we have to. The language change was just to clarify that that is our intent, if you approve it. Obviously, if you would prefer us to bring those through council anyway, even though we're not awarding a contract, we can continue to do that. It's just a little bit more work on my part and the department heads who are putting these things together, but it's not insurmountable. We've done it for years. So I'm not sure if that's clarifying anything. Ask me a more specific question if I'm rambling.
Okay, I have one.
She's ready to jump in.
Okay, so we approve the participation in these joint contracts, right? And so that's something that comes through council. And I think just for me, what I'm trying to clarify is, because I think like the concerns that are raised are valid and I initially held them too. My question is, if we have already approved purchasing through these cooperative purchasing agreements, you're saying that this extra step of saying, and this is how we're going to purchase it, is not necessary, but we would still approve the expenditure at the time of the purchase? Or are you saying, like, for example, the DPW example that you gave was from restricted funds, so we would do that because that's our ongoing policy. But if it was unrestricted, it was just gonna come from the
Operating
DPW,
budget.
right? Would that still come to council for reconsideration or no?
That does not have to go through council because the council isn't required in these cases to make a motion to award a contract. The contract's been awarded.
Okay.
We're kind of piggybacking on that pricing. It's
I see
been
what you're saying.
competitively bid. And if that budget does not, it's not coming from restricted reserves, then we wouldn't have another reason.
Okay.
We have to come back through council. There are certain types of contracts now, and I refer to New York State DOT or county contracts that we piggyback on. Purchase of asphalt. We purchase that throughout the year all the time. paving contracts. Those don't go through council now, and that's been that way as long as I've worked here. I don't know why it's been treated differently with the Sourcewell contracts. Those are typically the ones that we bring back through for a council motion, even though I don't think we need to, and that's the piece that I'm trying to clarify, and just treat it consistently.
So, sorry, can I just layman's terms back? Is that okay? Just to make
Oh,
sure
yeah,
that I understand.
go for it. I was saying, Motion Capital.
Okay,
I had
sorry.
a question too, I just want to acknowledge, yeah.
Okay, so, currently, those things are brought to council for sort of that second vote, because we've already voted to approve the budget, and we've already voted to use this procurement method. So, those things are brought back now because we are using the contract, but not, they wouldn't be if we were not using the contract. So the example that you gave is the asphalt. Wait, but we are using a contract for that, and that.
We're piggybacking on New York State bid
Huh.
pricing, and that historically has not been something that goes through the council.
Okay, and so for Sourcewell, the types of things, I mean, is it equipment purchases?
It's all sorts of things, but typically it's, for us, it's equipment purchases.
Okay,
Most,
gotcha.
yep, most if not all of our larger equipment that normally require a bid is purchased through either New York State contract or some other Sourcewell.
Okay.
Onondaga County sometimes.
So in very plain terms, because we're using a cooperative purchasing agreement, the contract does not need to be awarded, and council would not have a second vote, because we're not awarding a contract
Right.
on things that are budgeted, unless they're coming from restricted reserves.
Right,
Got it.
the charter, I believe, if I remember correctly, maybe it's both that and the purchasing policy specifies that I can execute purchasing contracts that are for procurement that it follows our purchasing policy.
Gotcha.
Our purchasing policy allows use of Sourcewell, piggybacking on state contracts and such, so if it's been procured properly, like that has, I can execute a contract. Obviously, there needs to be a budget for it, and that's where using restricted reserves, we still need a motion.
Okay.
And obviously, the council can change the budget anytime for reasons such as COVID or whatever the case may be.
Okay, thank you so much for walking me through that, so I really understand.
Thank you.
And that was actually, it was just summed up there, kind of, the point that I had lost before, sorry, when I was trying to put my words together, is that, going forward with this efficiency does not remove the council's authority over the budget. And we can always respond to any, changes that are coming up and make any adjustments that are necessary to that budget. I just, in the interest of having, things run efficiently, I will continue to support this.
Thank you. Good discussion. I think we're ready to call the vote.
Sorry, I'm just
No, of
thinking
course.
about, because I think I really think that concern is valid, right? Is that the budget is a living document, and, the way things look in November is different than the way things look in February, is different than the way things look in August, right? And so, while I don't disagree with the idea of this, I think that it does just remove us a little bit from budget oversight, and that's not bad inherently, but I don't think that we have a good system in place for us to stay connected to where we are. So I think we do rely on, trusting the judgment of, the folks that we have in these positions. And again, I don't think that that's a bad, I'm not assigning value to that, I'm just kind of stating it as I see it. And I don't know that, like I said, structurally, we have a system in place for any sort of budget review for the current year to know that, we're on target for things, or, we're still feeling good and we want to go ahead with our purchases as budgeted, or, so I think that for me, I would like to see if this were to pass, and just in general, I think it would be good for the health of the organization to have some sort of, quarterly maybe review of budget, just a point in time, where we are and how things have gone and how we expect them to go. And I know that you do give those reports for sales tax and things, so I'm sort of envisioning it being a more comprehensive version of that, so that it's sort of all at one time. And maybe that could be under the purview of the Budget Review Committee. We could see how this year is going as we, plan for next year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that for me would be the missing element is that I don't want to get too far in the year and go, well, we did everything in February because we thought things looked good, you know, which, you know, can happen through nobody's fault. But yeah, so I think that might kind of satisfy both sides of the concern. So that's kind of
I was gonna say it should come to us.
budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, well,
I
yes.
just want to add to Katie's point. If that is the case, if it were to go to a quarterly review, then that language would have to be written into the purchasing policies and procedures manual. I mean, because the language really needs to be very clear, concise, obviously transparent when these purchases are being made. And I'm just curious, okay, so right now, how would that affect the purchasing of these different pieces of equipment? Would it delay going to the Finance and Resources Committee? Will it delay any purchases? I don't know why that committee would be taken out of the
That's a good
mix,
question.
because they've been doing this for quite some time.
Sure.
The transparency and the checks and balances, I think, are really important, and the language specifically has to be clearly defined.
Thank you. Yes, Councilman Watson.
She's so disgusted, she ran away.
No, she's not. I think you're about to say something.
She's a runner.
Well, Well, I
Do-
was
do you
just
want me
looking
to-
at the charter and
Okay.
powers of the city administrator and on number 2, underneath the city administrator, C, which says powers and duties, it says ... and just talks about oversight of the departments, and then it says, and oversight of fiscal management in coordination with the director of finance and the common council. So, you know, reference in the charter, that's kind of falls into us to oversee. I mean, I guess we could ask if we want to see asphalt and stuff like that, but I think it's more the bigger purchases, not, that's the concern, so.
Thank you. I think we're ready to take a vote on this, or almost ready.
Wait for Katie.
Huh? Yeah, yeah.
And this.
This is on number 12.
Yep.
What is this?
This is just what people said. Number 12 is up here.
Oh, this is comments.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have the pink one, I have the blue one.
Okay. Ready to-
2024. Do you
Are
want?
we ready to take a vote?
Yep.
Right, I'll call the roll. Councilmember Moshe Campoli,
Aye.
Councilmember Walter not here. Councilmember McHugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Lepari Chu.
No.
Okay. Okay. Councilmember Carson. Councilmember Harrington.
No.
Councilmember Marks.
No.
And Councilmember Matheson.
No.
Thank you.
Fails.
Okay, thank you. Let's say that. Oh, okay.
Usually
That's-
Katie does.
All right.
I still think it
Motion
should
doesn't
come
pass.
to our commission. I think it should come to Katie.
All right, okay, thank you for the discussion on that, which goes right into the roundtable. We've had some back and forth already on some issues. Is there anything that you'd like to bring forward now for the other council? Yes,
I wanted to,
roundtable, that's it,
thank you for your remarks about the, homelessness and the response with Code Blue and everything. And I also want to lift up something that you said about the need for housing. And I just, again, want to remind this council as well as the public that out of all of the social services and agency meetings that I have attended, they almost always underlie the need for more housing, and especially for more affordable housing. So regardless of, feelings on that situation, that is something that, we have a housing crisis, and I just want us to keep that in mind, how important that is to continue to support the development of housing that will benefit everybody in our community.
okay, thank you. There was one other topic I wanted to bring forward, just on part for the public safety discussion, maybe for the workshop meeting, is that I sent you all an email, so you saw some information about the emergency calls on Saturday.
Yeah.
And almost at the same time,
Yeah.
the fire department got a call for the fire on Maple Street. At the same time, there was an emergency call for medical aid for some injuries as a result of a fight. The timing was such, and they were also on another emergency transport call. So the timing is that emergency services were basically pushed into 3 different directions at the same time, which sort of reminded us, one, of the magnificent professionalism that they have, that they were able to address these things still very quickly, but the standards that the fire department has for themselves are very high, and they'll feel the strain if they have multiple calls at the same time. So it once reminded us how lucky we are to have the professional services that we do from our first responders, but also I think brings forward the need as far as what we can do to support them in the near term and the long term, because the challenges that they had, like the fire department getting to the Maple Street fire, when they Councilmember Marks and I had a really nice meeting with them, I think 2 weeks ago, and they described their call times. And if there's a fire like the one that they had on Maple, they'll do a call back for those that are on call to come, and they'll also do a general call to get mutual aid from other areas. And it is hard, as you might already know, to get some of them to respond. And if they can't get the response times, then we might be at risk, and some people might suffer. So I'm hoping that's something we can spend some time on. Not that we're going to necessarily identify a quick solution to it, but as we can, as a council, think about the long term, how we can provide for emergency needs and public safety. I think what happened on Saturday was showing us one area where there's risk, that if we don't address it, we might see that risk turn into some conditions that would be very difficult for us to come back from. So that was just my 2 parts on roundtable. But go ahead. Yes.
No, I want to shout out the chief of the police and our police department for how they've been handling the protests that we've been having. He has had a plan. There has been 0 incidents. They have handled it very professionally. I would say that I would dare to say we are a model to other cities on how to handle these big protests. And so I'm very happy to see how they have shown up and supported our citizens in, putting their voices out there and feeling supported in doing so.
Thank you.
So.
Yes, Councilmember Marks, would you?
I just wanted to, first of all, I just wanted to extend from, hopefully from, I would believe from all of us at the council and many of the people, the residents in the city of Oneonta, gratitude to the people who have stepped up in our community since the January 26th snowstorm and the stretch of 3-week below freezing temperatures. The dedicated individuals from First United Methodist Church, Unitarian Universalist Church, and the Code Blue team, many of those folks are here this evening. Their commitment has ensured that our neighbors has had warmth, safety, and human connection during some of the harshest weather that we've seen in well over 2 decades. I also wanted to thank the people who contributed in so many different ways. It was money, it was food, clothing, personal hygiene products, you name it, supplies from microwaves to all the heaters when the First United Methodist Church didn't have heat one evening. Every act of generosity, large or small, really helped to meet immediate needs and reminded people that they were not alone. So again, it just goes to show that the collective effort of who we are as residents of the city of Oneonta. I just want to thank everyone for showing up, helping, and simply saying you all care. I thank you, and your compassion is really real and lasting to all those people who we have helped. I do have numbers. I reached out to Jill Basile, and she graciously got back to me. She's on vacation in warmer climate. I have the data on Code Blue housing up through February 4th. I also had data on the Morgan Station, as well as First United Methodist Church and the Unitarian Universalist Church up through February 26th. So I'm not going to go through every number, but if anybody would like the information, I have it here. So there are a number of individuals that have been helped, not just in Oneonta, but at Jeannie's Motel in West Winfield, Agency Housing, Super 8 Motel, Motel 88, OFO, Depew Street, but it's not perfect. there were calls, 19 calls to OPD, Oneonta Police Department. Unfortunately, 11 of those calls were DSS calls for Code Blue house individuals at Motel 88. So there's a balance here. I don't know what those reasons were. I have no idea who they are. We just know, we know the people, names and faces of those people who've really significantly been helped. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Other round, yes, Councilmember
I
Harrington.
have two things. One is, I just want to say when people really look at Oneonta and ask why Oneonta is such a great place, we're able to have differences of opinion and still treat everybody as equals. And I think that says a lot, and I think that's what everybody should strive for. And don't put political tags on it. You like people because you like them, or if you don't want to associate with that person, just don't associate with them. So, and I just want to say thanks. I mean, I come, from sometimes a block of very passionate people, and I think that we have to remember that none of us are any better than anybody else. We're all on an equal playing field. I'll get off that soapbox, and I just have a question for Greg, if I can ask him one. How is the fixing of the heating and stuff that we needed to do down at the Brenner building on Newall Park, so we can start the renovations of the chambers that we passed?
I believe that project is complete now, Chris. I'm looking at you. Yes. So that's something we plan to bring back and discuss a bit more, next steps. But the heating is complete in service.
Other roundtable thoughts? Yes, Councilmember Matheson.
Is there any update on the ice on the river? I saw that there was something
Yes.
that you got from the fire chief, rather.
Were you included on that notification?
Yes, I did, but is there anything?
Since then, I have not received any other updates, no. Did you? I don't.
No,
Yeah.
that was the latest.
Yeah, that's the only update I received as well.
And is those steel doors that would go by Main Street there in the dike, is that, they work?
Yes, they were, and they're available as needed, as may be needed.
Hopefully not needed, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When was the last time that was used, do you know?
They've been exercised, for training every couple of years or so. Last time that it was installed and held back water, probably 2011.